Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Welcome into an end of the week edition of the show here. It's going to be a lot of fun as we have a great guest here with us. We have a company called Healbe and they have a product called the GoBe2. And we're going to learn all about the product and we're going to learn what it does, why it does, how it does, just does it do. And with that being said, we also have computer and technology news if we have a little bit of time towards the end of the show. And because it is the end of the week, we have a social media winner of the week where we give away a prize from Logitech to one of our listeners that participated in our contest. Very, very easy to do. If you want to know more about that, head on over to
Your show will go
computeramerica.com.
live in 5
And here we go
seconds. 4,
with Computer America.
3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Grossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you everyone for tuning in once again on our daily broadcast, and I hope all of you are having a wonderful day so far. Now, with that being said, as always, be sure to check out ComputerAmerica.com because that will be your home for any and everything that we do here on the show today. And all you have to do is go to the website, find today's show notes, and in those show notes, you will find links to our guest website, links to any products we talk about, links to any articles we cover, links to just about everything. And again, that can be found underneath today's show notes. So if you're driving, if you're exercising, if you're doing whatever it is you're doing, then you just have one place to go and see everything. Just that simple. Now, also, while you're at ComputerAmerica.com, be sure to check out the social media contest as we have just relaunched how to win and how to enter. It has changed from how it has been for the past, 2 to 3 months. And this week, we had a Facebook contest where we had a post, we pinned it to the top, and all you had to do was go and like it, share it, or comment on it, and you are entered to win a Keys to Go keyboard from Logitech. Just that simple. And we will announce that winner live on the air here in just a matter of minutes. Now, today on the show, we have a company called Healbe, and they have a product called the GoBe2, and it's I want to call it a fitness tracker, but they claim it's a little bit more. It's a smart life band, and we're going to get into just what that means and everything that goes along with it. Now, joining me on today's show, we have, and I apologize if I don't get this right, but Mr. Bob Marcantonio. Who am I kidding? I'm a professional. But Bob Marcantonio, he is the Senior Account Director for Healbe, and he is here to talk with us all about this great product. So I think we're just going to jump right into this and bring him on. So, Bob, welcome on to the Computer America Show. Happy to have you here.
Thanks very much, and you did a great job on my name.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know. I only practiced it about 50 times before the show started. I was extremely nervous. But with that being said, so for everyone out there who may not have heard of Healbe, as I understand it, you guys actually have another product that gained a lot of notoriety for very, very good reasons. And, and I believe it had to do with blood sugar testing. So before we get started, why don't you tell our listeners about Healbe, how you guys got started, and just a little bit of background behind the company?
Sure. The company is based out of Moscow and St. Petersburg, and the technology came from, was actually acquired and then further developed from a gentleman that developed a technology that was geared towards non-invasive glucose monitoring. And when they saw the original technology, first of all, it was very, very bulky, would not fit into a device that would be a wearable. And second of all, it would have, to go down the path of working on non-invasive glucose monitoring, it would have had to have FDA approval and all of those paths that would be needed in order to bring a medical device. So we looked at how we could take the device and use it in other areas. And they took it into the direction of really at the time, which was in 2015, is when Fitbit and Garmin really started coming on the scene in terms of coming out with fitness trackers. And we developed a technology that really was a leapfrog beyond that technology. So, as we take a look at the existing technology when it first came out, it was basically an accelerometer and a wristband, and it was there to count steps. We called them personal motivators. And Fitbit did an incredible job of creating a social element around it so that people started gearing themselves to 10,000 steps and then sharing that with their friends and competing with their friends, and it created a whole phenomenon.
Right.
The one thing that we also realized is that we weren't going to be able to compete with the dollars that were spent in the brand building that was happening with Fitbit and Garmin. So, we said, what could we do to make ourselves unique? And of course, we have the accelerometer like everything else has built into it, but taking this other technology, which was built off of the non-invasive glucose monitoring, we developed a technology called Flow, which is patented, and this device has over 18 different patents in it. And really, it was there to be able to tell us two different things. One was the ability to automatically count your calories, something that nothing else has ever been able to do today. Today, we do it through normal means of looking at apps that have, it says a green apple is 80 calories, and you put that in there, and that's what you use as your foundation.
Right.
Or you weigh it, and you're very disciplined where you say that, okay, it's 8 grams, and it's a chicken breast, and it's going to be 120 calories. Those take incredible discipline, and even in the best case aren't as accurate because our bodies all digest food things differently. So we said, okay, let's take this to another level. So automatic calorie counting became one of the lead pieces that differentiated us. The second thing through the technology that enabled us to do was understand your hydration levels, because hydration levels are critical to the health of our body and also into weight loss. So partner those two things together. We said, now we have a device that has taken the fitness band world and really leapfrogged it and turned it into what we'll call a smart calorie tracker and a wellness band. The ability to take a look at our body effectively and look at us as individuals and not just use some type of general scale that says I'm a male, 50 years old, 5'9", and use that as our barometer.
Right.
So that was the genesis of the entire concept.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there was a lot in there, and we're going to break that down here in this interview. But trust me, and for anyone out there who is watching the video portion, this. I am going through this myself. I mean, trying to lose weight with a family member, and it's the calorie counting, like you just mentioned, not the easiest thing in the world. I mean, like, you really do even have to change your eating habits just to get an accurate read. So I'm very interested, of course, in hearing how you automatically track calories and, just how, of course, the GoBe2 promotes a better lifestyle, because you mentioned some of your competitors, but at the same time, the GoBe2 it definitely looks different than any other fitness tracker I've seen. So why don't we get into this? And again, it's called the GoBe2, GoBe2, space 2. And what would you say is the primary value of having this band? I mean, is it just to track your steps? Is it just to track your calories? I mean, why would people want to go out and get this?
Yeah, great question. Our whole thing is about empowering you to lead a healthier life, and that's why we call it a wellness band. And by being able to get information that's specific to me, I can take that information and then use it to, as we say, knowledge is power. We're no longer limited. There's no more guesswork involved with it. So by having this information, We now have the ability is if I want to I want to have a stronger cardio program, I want to lose weight, whatever it is, I want to have better sleeping habits. All those types of things are capable by a customized view and in what the actual GoBe provides to us.
Makes a lot of sense. And of course, this may be a little, preemptive with this interview, but it's one thing to hear you, claim all these things and another, but when you actually put it in the hands of people, and I know people who, they get themselves a fitness tracker and they go all in. Other people, they get a fitness tracker and they just don't buy into, really using it every day, and they just kind of, throw it on the counter and never pick it up again. What are some of your customers saying, or have you gotten any feedback about, is this actually promoting that better lifestyle that you just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, just so you can put this as a frame of reference, our first original product, we launched an Indiegogo back in 2015. So
Oh, right.
we have thousands of users that have provided us with great feedback. We also launched it with AT&T because they have a connected health platform as well, and we're able, again, to get a lot of information. And what I think people like about it is that it's not one-dimensional. So we're not just measuring steps. We're looking at your calorie intake. We're looking at your calories burned. We're looking at your sleep quality. We're looking at your hydration levels. We're looking at your stress level. All of those different types of things. And that was one of the reasons why we wanted somebody to be able to wear this basically 24 hours a day versus somebody that's just going to, hey, I get used to either running or walking 10,000 steps. I know what that is. I put it away. What else am I going to garner out of that other than maybe sharing it with my friends?
Right.
So we're really looking at it of all of these different measurements of your body that it's capable of doing for you.
I definitely like that. I mean, passive technology, I think it's some of the best technology where you set it and forget it, you have it there, and it just does its thing. We're going to talk about where this really fits in with the whole, really fitness and, lifestyle in the technology market, because it is such a crowded market. But having the ability to have it and forget it is definitely going to be a boon to you guys. So I definitely like hearing about that. So, like you mentioned, obviously you can use this for training purposes if you are trying to become a better athlete or whatever it is you may be doing. But you primarily seem to be, again, with the calorie tracking, and of course hydration, you seem to be, kind of targeting this towards weight loss. So, why, why is the GoBe2 targeted towards weight loss instead of professional athletes?
Good question. The reason we did that is because it's a multi-billion-dollar market. What's happened with wearables and fitness trackers is they've reached a fatigue level and a saturation level. And people, what's happened with them is they have high abandonment rates after, as you said, people get used to wearing them and they throw them on their thing.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to be able to do was look at a market that values the features. So when we look at the two things that we have above and beyond everybody else, which is automatic calorie tracking and hydration, two very important elements in weight loss. And the one thing that we know about weight loss is it's not discriminatory. It's male, it's female, it's young, it's old. It crosses geographical boundaries.
Right.
And we thought that was a way for us to be able to carve out our space, because the other thing, when we originally launched the original GoBe product, we were at $299 because of all the technology that's inside of ours. That was when Fitbit and Garmin were selling at $99 to $149.
Yeah.
So rather than try to re-educate this whole population saying that we have something better, we're going after the market that understands the importance of weight loss, and the two big important things is calorie tracking and the hydration level.
Very important, because for anyone out there who is struggling to lose weight, at the end of the day, it just matters calories in, calories out. And of course, the hard part for a lot of people, myself included, is just tracking the calories. It's like you mentioned way at the beginning, it's convoluted. It involves scales. It involves, math and mental math. And it's, if you're not used to it, it's very daunting when you first start because you don't realize what you're doing. So, again, that's why automatic calorie tracking is, so interesting to me because this, that's a very bold claim and a very hard thing to do. Like, I don't want to minimize uh, the technical skill involved in automatic calorie tracking. So why don't we get into how it actually does that and how it actually tracks your water intake as well?
Sure. So in existing devices today, you have accelerometers, of which we have an accelerometer, and accelerometers measure basic body movement and activity. You've seen the next step where they've started putting in optical sensors to measure your blood flow. We have a piezo pressure sensor that measures blood flow and heart rate. So, we've always had that. So that was a step, that we've included earlier on. But the real difference is we have an impedance sensor. And the impedance sensor measures the fluid levels in the tissue. And this is where the magic happens. We have a technology called flow technology, which is one of the 18 patents that we have it. And basically, I'm going to read you a short blurb because this is really the way that it actually operates.
Sure.
It says, when you eat, food travels to your stomach to be broken down and digested. 10 to 15 minutes after you eat, your body starts converting the carbohydrates in your food into glucose. The process continues for up to 4 to 6 hours, depending on what you eat and your body's unique physiology. As glucose concentrations rise, your cells absorb glucose and release water. Fat and protein in your food influences the rate of glucose absorption, leading to the different shapes and durations of the glucose curve, which GoBe measures. GoBe uses an impedance sensor to measure the fluid moving in and out of your cells continuously around the clock. The Healbe flow technology uses an advanced algorithm to analyze impedance readings and calculate calorie intake based on your glucose curves, giving you a complete picture of your calorie and nutritional intake over time.
That and again, that did make sense. It seems that you are tracking of course, the amount of fluids that go from cell to cell, and you're kind of using, well, if your cells are releasing this much water, you must have eaten this much food, and it's conjecturing how how many calories. Like, it's not like you take pictures of your food with your GoBe2. It's it's giving you, I would assume, and please feel free to correct me, with internal testing, a rough estimate of how many calories you were actually eating, because I doubt it's going to be down to the single calorie, but it's going to give you a pretty good picture of your calorie intake, right? Or how accurate is it?
Yeah, so the testing we've done, which has been done at the St. Petersburg State Institute of Health, which is a medical and sports clinic, we did an extensive test there when we did the original GoBe. And at that point, we had an 85% accuracy, which in this world is incredible because
it's good.
When you take a look at manual entry or weighing it yourself, those are anywhere between 40 to 50% accurate. But the point that I do want to stress is it is looking at you individually.
Right.
So it can't discern the difference of whether you're eating an apple or a steak, but it can break it down so that way when you go into the app and you see as you're digesting your food, it will break it down. It'll give you an energy balance, which you can do as a very quick positive and negative daily check to see if I'm on track, because if I'm negative, if I'm losing weight, if I'm positive, I'm gaining weight. But I can drill down into the app. The app, 1 week's worth of data, and there I can break down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. So I can look at all three of those elements of everything that I eat. Makes it, when I burn it, the same way. So I see what's intake and the outtake of it. But again, it's personally to me, not a statistical model that's broken, based on some kind of pattern of, like I said, a 50-year-old male,
Right.
5'7", whatever the case may be.
Yeah, general guidelines. I mean, very, very few people have the resources, have the time, have the intention of going out, going to a doctor's, going to a personal trainer, going somewhere and getting all of these, personalized scales set up for them. So it seems like with the GoBe2 again, very emphasizing, of course, the personal aspect of it. It's going to give you all that. And, have you found that people, of course, with the original Gobi, because, not all food is the same. 1,200 calories of rice is different from 1,200 calories of lean chicken or something like that. Um, are you finding people who actually, kind of change what they thought they knew going into using Gobi?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some of the responses that we get, because we have a very active Facebook community, they give us some great insights. One of the people talks about, as an example, they're a long-distance biker, and the one thing that happens when you do biking, you need X amount of carbohydrates and proteins in your body. Otherwise, you get a fatigue or what's called bonking when you ride and your muscles start cramping. So by looking at what you actually burn during a previous ride period, you can then adjust your eating schedule, and that's exactly what they did. The same thing that holds true for anybody that's looking to carbohydrates, as we know, quickly turns into sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to limit the amount of carbohydrates, or I want to keep it at a certain ratio, I can take a look at the end of every day and say, okay, am I on track? Do I need to eat more protein? What is my fat consumption of what I'm eating? So it does give you really some direction to how you move forward with your daily food intake.
I definitely do like that. And of course, for anyone out there watching the video portion, we have the Healbe website here. So we're looking at the GoBe2 and the different slides here. And you have a number of different, different, I guess, pages inside the app that, of course, goes to your smartphone. And, you've already talked about the energy, you've talked about the calorie, but you have one that you haven't really mentioned here, and that is, of course, the sleeping pattern. And that's something that a lot of other, very, well, I won't say very rarely. I mean, a lot have kind of incorporated sleeping. But why don't you tell the listeners why sleeping is important and why you felt it was important to, of course, integrate it into GoBe2?
Right. Sleep is, when we take a look at health and wellness, there's several things that affect us. Definitely our food intake, our hydration levels, of which, that's the other reason why we do that. Sleep quality and stress are also big important plays, because when you're sleep deprived, your body reacts differently to the way that you digest food, the way that you interact, the way that your eating patterns are, the same thing with your stress levels. And by measuring it, now give people the ability, some insight as to the quality level of your sleep, and then we give you a level of recommendation for what you should be doing the next time. Because the good thing is that this device has a piezo pressure sensor, so it's measuring blood flow and heart rate. So we're able to understand that it isn't just an accelerometer so that when I move, it assumes that I'm awake. It's using the impedance sensor and the pressure sensor and the accelerometer all together to give me a good quality analysis of my sleep patterns, my REM sleep, those types of things, so that leads me to a much healthier lifestyle.
Very, very interesting. Because again, we've seen dedicated devices just for sleeping, and it's seeming to become a very important part of measuring your health. As much as counting calories and getting enough exercise, is making sure that your sleep is, actually good sleep. So very, very cool to see that in the GoBe2. And of course, looking on your website at the very top, there is, of course, a big banner that says the GoBe2 coming soon. So people will not be able to go to Walmart, Target, and what have you, and go pick this up. When is the GoBe2 set to release?
The product is set to release on the website. We're going to start it there first, and that's going to be in the second or third week of February. And then we will announce other partnerships, because GoBe is really the intention that we've built it over time is not totally reliant on just the consumer. We're looking at other avenues, potential partnerships with other types of, as we talked about, weight loss, talked about partnerships with we've done some very interesting studies with some major health medical centers throughout the United States
Mm-hmm.
that look at, as an example, pregnancy. One of the things that's very important is diet and exercise. So by having the GoBe on their wrist, they can then send that information directly to their OB/GYN, and it gives them a better snapshot of, are they doing the right things in terms of the pregnancy. We've done it with oncology, same thing with cancer patients that are on chemo. Very important that their diets and exercise are well balanced. So we're really looking at it from several different perspectives. So you're going to start seeing the GoBe product not only in websites and in stores, but you're going to start seeing it with other partnerships with other companies.
Right, and we've also seen that as well, where insurance companies, of all people, health insurance, they'll actually either pay for these themselves or give you some kind of rebate or something like that, where they actually want to promote a healthier lifestyle, and they'll help you get one of these. I mean, be it a GoBe2 or whatever. Doctors, they definitely do start to recommend using things like this. Now, Bob, I'm going to ask you to, of course, blue sky a little bit, but we're going to talk about CES here in a little bit, and if I recall, GoBe2 was definitely shown at CES. But if you were also there, and of course, anyone who's heard about it, connected everything is on the rise. I mean, that connected everything is going to happen, and it's not enough for a product to, give you all of the readouts. It's also about turning that data into, useful useful data points for other applications. Where do you see the GoBe2 fitting into a person's connected lifestyle, or even where do you see just medicine in general, or fitness in general going connected?
Yeah, no, that's all good points. As I was saying, we sort of the GoBe is the center of the ecosystem. And we have these other potential partnerships that we will announce over the 2017 and 2018 that look at these specifically. As you said, data is only one aspect of it, but if we can tie that together with a weight loss program as an example, now we have the complete circle or the complete solution. So you're going to see things like that. You're going to see things like if you go into your everyday fitness club, whether it's a Lifetime Fitness, an Anytime Fitness, Gold's Gym, whatever those
Right.
are, you now have the ability that if you have a personal trainer, that personal trainer can work with you, and now all of a sudden has insights into your intake, into your actual burns, and use that constructively. Then you take a look at the whole medical aspect of it. Again, we've shied away from going and fighting the battle of the FDA, which is why we're working with partnerships with large medical institutions. But I think you're going to see some very exciting announcements from us that talk about how we're to integrate with things like you just said, insurance providers, because again, they're looking at how do they better treat and get a healthier employee base. We'll be able to provide that information to them. And then there's the doctors that we're talking about, where we were talking about pregnancy and oncology. I think you're really going to see this now having the ability to be able to give you some insights and to pre-diagnose things like early onset diabetes and hypertension and things like that. So those are the directions that we'll ultimately go in, but it's one step at a time. We wanted to make sure we launched the original product, and we were still learning how to build an actual piece of hardware. The software and the algorithms that we patented were always very solid. The GoBe2 is really the culmination where we really have buttoned down the hardware. Granted, we can always get it smaller, and that will be the continual evolution of this. But the reality is we've gone to a completely new manufacturing partner and really have tightened up the whole hardware side of this. So that way, now all of a sudden we can let the software and the flow technology shine and be integrated into these other platforms.
Right. Yeah. We're of course we're showing images of people wearing the GoBe2 and of course the GoBe product. It's it's not going to be confused for a Fitbit. It is still rather large, but it's not I would say a little bit larger than like an Apple Watch. It's not cumbersome large. It's just you're gonna know you're wearing it, and you're definitely gonna spot someone wearing it, but it's not too unwieldy. So very very good to see. And Bob, if you don't mind, we are about to come up on a commercial break. So would you mind staying over and just finishing up this interview on the other side?
Sure.
Oh, perfect. All right, so now the music means that we're about to take a break, and we will be right back, of course, with Mr. Bob Marcantonio, and he is the Senior Account Director of course, Healbe. And we are talking about the GoBe2 fitness product and all that goes along with it. So stay tuned for more Computer America as we talk more about this product, and we'll be right back with a social media winner of the week right after this.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their best new friend. This year, Brother Wolf will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as an orphan through no fault of their own. Brother Wolf has created a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Anybody remember why there's a string around my finger? Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time we got in the eHang Ghost Drone 2.0 kit with their VR goggles. This drone is a precision instrument with a gimbal-mounted spherical 4K camera and an impressive amount of control. It seems excellent at keeping its place even up just under 200 feet with a solid breeze. The goggles let you see either what the drone sees or what it sees through its own front camera, so you get a heads-up display of status. We wanted a drone that could do built-in progress videos of our house project, then do gutter patrols or after-storm property line patrols, and those things are no great challenge for this quadcopter. Bottom line, the eHang Ghost Drone 2.0 with VR and a 4K camera, it's an ultra-high-def eye-in-the-sky that even we can fly. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
And welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 32 minutes past the hour as we continue on here. And before we get back to Mr. Bob and before we get back to Healbe and the GoBe2, we have a social media winner of the week. That is such a hard thing to break. But yeah, a social media winner of the week. And this is where we choose one person who has entered our social media contest. Again, rules found over at computeramerica.com. And we choose one of them to give away a prize from one of our friends. And this week, we're giving away the Logitech Keys to Go keyboard. It's a $70 value. Really like giving that away. And we have decided to choose, drumroll. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, we don't have a drumroll. But this week's winner is Miss Bridget Lachey Moffitt. Congratulations, and thank you again so much for listening to the Computer America Show. Very, very nice. And again, all she had to do was to go on over to Facebook, sign up, like, and subscribe to that post over at Computer America, and enter to win. Now, for everyone out there, do not be sad. We are giving away another Keys to Go keyboard next week, but this time we will be doing it on Twitter. So I will have that post up probably later today or maybe even Monday, just so we give everyone the same amount of time. And we will be giving away another prize to anyone who goes there and either likes or retweets that tweet. Very simple. And again, it's a little thank you for supporting Computer America on social media. Now, with that being said, why don't we get back to, of course, our conversation that we were just having. And I want to say thank you once again for staying over because we have a few more things to cover about the GoBe2, of course, Smart Life Band, and welcome back Bob Marcantonio, Senior Account Director. Now, why don't we jump back into this with, of course, we've been very careful about saying fitness tracker. We've been very careful about saying a lot of different things. Why would you, to someone walking on the street, why would you describe this as a Smart Life Band instead of a fitness tracker?
It technically still is a fitness tracker. It gives you the ability to track your steps and calories burned and those types of things. But as I said, I think our approach is that we're empowering you to lead a healthier life, and knowledge is power. And I think that's the real key, is giving you the insights into you specifically. This is, as I said, this isn't some statistical model that we're building. This is information that's derived from you as your own being and the way that your own body works. So that's why we're taking a look at it holistically versus just one dimension.
Right. Now, also, you when you're mentioning some of the others that did a really good job, and hopefully you took some inspiration from that, and it's very easy when you're going it alone, losing weight by yourself, to become discouraged or even bored and just stopping. Are there any kind of social aspects to this? Maybe inside the app or anything social with the GoBe2?
No, as of today, there aren't. We will have a complete platform built out for it. One thing that you can do is, as I mentioned, in the app, we store 1 week's worth of data. If you go to to the website and you log into your account, you have your entire history there. And we've built a platform that is there to help you look at what your goals are in terms of weight loss and how you're achieving towards those goals. And we even give you some of the basic, the detailed information about carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. But in terms of, what you're asking in terms of a true social media play, it doesn't exist today. It will exist in two forms. One is we will integrate it into the app itself. And then once we make some of these partnership announcements, we'll also have that whole social element to work with it as well.
Very, very cool. And yeah, of course, looking forward to that. And let's see. So before we move on to, kind of wrapping this up, did we kind of gloss over any of the other things that the GoBe2 tracks? I mean, we mentioned sleep, we mentioned heart rate, we mentioned calories, hydration. Was there anything that we may have missed that the GoBe2 actually does track?
No, I think I do want to mention that there is nothing else on the market that also does hydration. And,
Right.
The reason why hydration is important, you hear continually people telling you to drink, eight glasses of water per day, for your health. It's there for your health. But hydration is very important in weight loss. When you get into a dehydrated mode, it sends a trigger to your brain thinking that you're hungry. So, that's one of the things that if we're dehydrated, that's what's going to end up happening. And then I'm going to probably more than likely going to go try to, curb that craving by eating something. So if I can keep myself into a hydrated state, the fact of the matter is then, it's going to help me in my weight loss efforts and accelerate them in more cases.
Very, very cool.
But the other thing that it does is you can also take, because we use a piezo pressure sensor, you can also take your blood pressure with it. You have to sit still. If you go to the section where it shows you your heart rate, you go one screen deeper. It tells you to calculate or measure. All you do is hit the button. It'll count down 30 seconds and tell you what your blood pressure is. And that's great because you may want to see what it's like on a regular basis. You may want to see what it's like during an activity. You go to the doctor for a checkup. You can bring this in with you and say, hey, this is what I've been experiencing. Is this good? Is it bad? Can you give me some direction on it? So, I think those are the major ones that I wanted to point out above and beyond, the sleep and the calorie counting.
Right. And I believe, again, just looking at your website, which you can go check it out at Healbe.com. But over at your website, I think I also saw a screen for stress, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a good point. In the GoBe2, we added galvanic skin response, and that's basically a coating that we put onto the impedance sensor, and that's similar technology that they use in lie detectors, where it measures the perspiration of an individual's skin. It doesn't determine whether or not you're happy or you're sad or you're afraid or but what it does is it tells you when you're in an accelerated or decelerated state. And again, this gets into looking at your life as a whole and how this can impact you. So if you see that there are certain times when you're showing your stress level higher, you may see some correlation between the type of activity that you're doing or the other behavior, and it can give you some insights as to what you need to do to change it.
Understood. And that is, of course, very important. Now, let's get into, of course, some of the more specifics of this, where the GoBe and, the GoBe and, of course, the GoBe2 that will be coming out here in a couple of weeks. But do you need a smartphone to use this, or can it be used unpaired with a smartphone?
That's a great question. I'm not sure anyone has ever asked that.
Because everyone just
Yes,
has a smartphone, right?
because the the screen itself has on the display will give you your basic plus and minus balance in terms of your energy balance. It'll tell you your hydration level, and actually it'll vibrate when your hydration level is low, and it'll tell you to drink. It'll tell me what my heart rate is. But in terms of connecting, you do need the smart app to be able to connect it and then be able to get into the elements of carbohydrates, fats, protein, and then the linkage into your entire history, which would be through your web portal.
Okay, so definitely recommend it at least to have the smartphone to get a lot of these features. Very, very cool. And so to finish this
Yeah.
up, of course, CES just happened. It happened the first week of January. We were out there. We were at Showstoppers. It was a lot of fun. We were broadcasting live from there, but we also covered the event itself. And, it seems like we've beaten it to death. But at the same time, it's, 5,000 different companies all meeting in one place to show off their products. And, between the connected home and then I think like the fitness one was like the second most, numerous category there was there. I mean, it was up there. How was the reception? Because again, you're facing a lot of competition. How was the reception of the GoBe2?
Mm-hmm. It's great. I think that they, again, this is the second generation of the product, so we did this before, and everyone is still amazed at the capabilities. And as we expose people more and more to it, it's like it's one of those wow moments where I can't believe this does this. And then they say the next question is how much is it? Of which I forgot to tell you, it's $179. And then where can I buy it? That seems to be the progression. We did a show with Deloitte, had all of their partners in worldwide, several thousand people, and we were invited as a technology to come in there, and it's to give everybody an idea of what are the new technologies out there, and it was just unbelievable response. People would say, wow, and the same thing at CES. They say, wow. I mean, and, waiting, and they keep waiting. They say, okay, when can I get it to the size of a Fitbit? Well, we say, well, we'll get there. But, as an interim step, this is a great, great solution. And the more that we wrap around this, the more important it will be. And I think it will be more appealing to the larger mass audience because now they have a complete to be able to help them with weight loss or their whole body management.
Very, very well said. And yeah, we did not get to the price. Apparently on your website you are having some kind of promotion where, of course, if you pre-order it, $150, but like you mentioned, $179 seems to be, I assume is going to be your later, off the shelf kind of thing. But $179 from $300 when you first started. I mean, that's a great price drop. I thought it was going to stay the same, or at least not be that that much of a price drop. But you guys have really gotten the price of the technology down, huh?
Yeah, I mean, that helps with the new manufacturing facility and the new designs that we've done, and the volumes that we've sold. But at the end of the day, this is really when you take a look at a device like this, you would have to buy multiple devices that would cost you in excess of $300 to do what this one device is capable of doing. And that's what we really want to stress to people, is that this one device is really all you need in order to really achieve your goals.
Right. And as of this moment, available in black. Are you hoping to, of course, light blue and pinks and reds and greens? I mean, are other colors in the future?
Yeah, we've had in our earlier version, we had multiple colors. What you traditionally find is black still seems to be the number one. But being that we're catering to a weight loss sector, and there could be a larger percentage of females, what could end up, we're also going to be coming out with a white version of this as well.
Very, very simple. Okay, and again, this is the GoBe2 product. If you head on over to computeramerica.com underneath today's show notes, today being, of course, January 20th, you will find, all the links to all the websites. It's, Healbe, Healbe.com. But again, just head on over to the website and you'll find a link there. And Bob, is there anything we did not mention before we say goodbye to you?
No, I just encourage everyone to give it a try and go to the website. You'll see a lot of information in terms of the way that your body works and how we integrate our device. And again, I think it's important. Keep watching us, because we're going to be announcing some exciting partnerships coming up in 2017.
All right, looking forward to it. And please feel free to send us an email, a press release, what have you, and we'll be happy to let all of our listeners know about it, because again, we love keeping in touch with companies that we've had on. So, looking forward to hearing what you have to offer this year.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for your time, and we appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. And so, we're going to say goodbye to Bob, and thank you so much once again. And again, you can find more information over our website. So, have a good one, Bob. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.
Bye-bye. All right, and there he goes. Again, that was Mr. Bob Marcantonio, Senior Account Director for Healbe, and you can find more information over at computeramerica.com. Give that a check out. Now, in this last few minutes that we have, I know that today computer and technology news does not seem to be paramount, because I'm not ignorant of the fact that we just received our 45th president of the United States, and that seems to be trumping a lot of what the news has to offer. But we do have a number of stories that we're going to get into, and there are, a lot of good ones. So we are going to just jump right into this. And this is, again, computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America. So here we go. So, computer and technology news brought to you by Computer America, and we are going to start off. We have a number of stories, and we're going to start off with these. And we have a lot of really, really interesting ones. I think we're going to start with the Samsung Note 7. Now, this is a story that we have been following for a number of months now, ever since it first happened, and it's a story that's just won't go away until we know exactly what happened. And I think that's very important, because if Samsung has any hope of reclaiming their dignity, they have to know why their phones were catching fire. And, if you still go to airports nowadays, they still have announcements every 15 minutes or so that say Samsung Note 7s are not allowed on flights. It's not good publicity for Samsung. So, to finally put a finger on what caused the exploding phones, they say that, and this according to the Wall Street Journal, Samsung Note 7 investigation will blame, quote, irregularly sized, end quote, batteries and manufacturing flaws. So, the batteries were odd to begin with, hard to manufacture, and the batteries were just manufactured poorly. So this is coming from a website called The Verge, and we have James Vincent to thank for this. He wrote the article, and they said that Samsung's official investigation into the cause of widespread faults with the Galaxy Note 7 will blame irregularly sized batteries and manufacturing faults, and this is according to a report by the Wall Street Journal. So they said that they're going to announce the results this weekend, and of course they also have, they were able to get, early access to the information thanks to people familiar with the matter. So the Wall Street Journal says that Samsung hired 3 independent quality control and supply chain analysis firms to conduct their investigation, and the first fault relates to the device that used batteries made by Samsung subsidiary Samsung SDI, where these batteries didn't fit inside the phones properly, which led to overheating and, in some cases, explosions. And the explosions and the fires were what made the Samsung Note 7 infamous, and not in a good way. So, when reports of the Note 7 fault first emerged last August, executives initially believed the problem was confined to these particular devices. And in response, they increased production of the Note 7 using batteries made by Hong Kong-based firm Amperex Technology. So they switched battery providers in their next round of phones. Not the best decision. So, and according to the official investigation, this rush to ensure that there was an adequate supply of Note 7 devices for the market led to the second fault, with the increased pressure on production creating unknown manufacturing issues. So for anyone out there who is living under a rock for the past 4 months, there has been a global recall of all Samsung Note 7. Now, we're not saying there's the Samsung Galaxy Note. Well, yeah, it's like the Samsung 7 something. The larger form factor is fine. It's just the Note 7 that has been recalled. And October 11th, after faults continued to report in both the original and the replacement devices, Samsung killed all production and sales of the Note 7, saying that the company says that 96% of the Note 7 devices have been returned in the US. And of course, with the numbers that we're talking about here, that still leaves thousands of people still using their Samsung Note 7. And that has introduced new quality assurance schemes to avoid repeats of such mistakes in the future. But if you are one of those 4% that are out there still using their Note 7 as if it was all okay, this report proves that it's not just those particular devices. It's a fundamental flaw with the design of the phone, and it's a flaw that will probably happen to you. If not now, if not next month, if not next year, at some point your phone has a very high chance of catching on fire. If you still have one, please, 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 do not take the chance, do not take the risk. Just go return it, get a new one, and I believe they're even giving you a larger rebate to get any phone you want, really. So please do that. And as I recall, the Note 8 is already under production and will come out sometime in the middle of this year. So no point keeping a Note 7. Don't even bother. Just return it. Just do it. Okay. Now, with that being said, we have, I think, time for maybe one or two more. How about this one? And this is the kind of reports that we definitely want to hear when we talk about, of course, companies such as Tesla. And it's not so much that the cars are electric and they're good for the environment and blah, 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 but it's also that they have semi-autonomous capabilities that should, by all standards, reduce crashes. And we have a finding just now. This coming from a website called Electric, and they're saying that Tesla's crash rate has reduced by 40% after introduction of autopilot-based on-data reviewed by NHTSA. Very cool. So the National Highway and something safety something. So with that being said, they're saying that, as reported earlier today, they're saying that they now have full access to the report, and there are some interesting key findings about the crash and Tesla's autopilot in general. Saying that, for example, the agency reviewed the data that indicates Tesla's crash rate was reduced by 40% after the autopilot auto steer feature was introduced. And auto steer is the main feature of the autopilot system, and it enables the vehicle to steer for itself in certain conditions. So so they said that they reviewed the crash data from Tesla vehicles before and after the introduction of auto steer, and they have a very basic bar graph here, but they're saying that the number of crashes went from 1.3 crashes per million miles before auto steer to just 0.8 crashes after auto steer. So per million miles, so for 1 million miles driven, there were on average 1.3 crashes, and after auto steer, there was less than 1 crash per million miles. Very, very cool. So the data is, they're saying that the data is interesting in the context of the database. In the debate between going directly to fully autonomous cars or taking the route of gradually more autonomous vehicles leading to full autonomy, such as like what Tesla is doing. And the argument against the latter is the transition between autonomy and manual control can be dangerous. But Tesla's argument is that it reduces the number of accidents if used properly, which the data appears to confirm. And that is one of the arguments going on in the autonomous car industry, is that it's not just about cars should be autonomous. Like, everyone agrees that is the end result of all of this. But they're saying that some of the features that are included in models such as the Tesla, they make people complacent, they make them lazy, they make them not pay attention, they make them do any number of things that lead to more accidents because they're overestimating the capabilities that are coming with their cars. And Tesla is sticking to their guns, and they say that, when used properly, lane keeping, self-driving, auto speed, anti-crash, all of those features reduce accidents more than people overestimate them and get into accidents because they assume the car will take over. And this is why, again, Google has not introduced any kind of car system that, in the way that Tesla has, is because Google wants the full package. They want the whole thing ready to go out of the box, no incremental steps. They want the whole thing to be autonomous. So those are the two arguments. And at least for now, Tesla says that according to the data, they are preventing a lot of accidents. So you can find more about this, and they even have the full 13-page report, all in its dry glory, available on the story. And again, you can find these links over at computeramerica.com, where we include them. We also have a couple more, such as this one from CNN. We don't really have time to get into it fully, but at the same time, GMO, genetically modified organism, they're saying that apples that never brown could hit store shelves soon. One of the promises of GMOs is, of course, products that last longer, taste better, and can do all of that without those pesky antibiotics. And this one is just to make sure that your apples don't turn brown, because anyone knows if you cut an apple open and you leave it alone for, 5 minutes, it becomes this not so pleasing, not so fresh looking brown color. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe in a couple of months. Well, actually, I take that back. The article says that starting next month, you could have a GMO apple that could not brown. That's right. And that was approved by the USDA, and you could see them in store shelves in a moment. So, once again, everyone out there, I want to thank you so much.
90 seconds.
Definitely go over to computeramerica.com to check out more stories and more articles that we write, more, any shows you may have missed from the past week or even the past month or even the past 26 years that we have been on the air. Check out the video portion if you so choose. And be sure to tune in next Monday, as we have a great show lined up for you. And let me just see who that is exactly. So next Monday we have a
60
called
seconds.
Valencell. That's right. Valencell will be joining us here on the show to talk all about their product and what they unveiled at CES. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So tune in, of course, 4 to 5 Eastern every single day, Monday through Friday, for Computer America. I want to say once again, thank you so much to Bridget Moffat for winning our contest. And be sure to enter next week. If you did not win, you have another chance to win next week, next Friday. And this time the contest will be hosted on Twitter. Go give that a look, go give that a tweet, and hey, it could be your name that we read live on the air next Friday. So until then, everyone, have a great day, and congratulations on getting a new president. Until then, bye-bye, everyone. Have a good one. And for everyone out there still watching on the video portion, thank you so much for sticking with us. And thank you for listening. Be sure to do it next week. And if you did not win, then be sure to enter the contest. We will get that up probably before, 15 minutes before or after we end this. And again, you can check that out at Computer America on Twitter. And good luck. Hope you win. And tune in next week. Until then, bye-bye, everyone.